Hello everyone and welcome to Diecast Restos. My name is Jason and this one I've really been looking forward to. It's a vintage German-made Siku V271 Opel Rekord Coupé, produced from 1967 until 1974. I love more obscure older models like this, and I've had to fix it up as soon as I received it. Inside, it is missing the driver and passenger backrests that would tilt backwards and forwards. It's a long shot, but if anyone happens to have some replacements going spare, it has this bright red steering wheel to really complement that blue interior. Externally, it is in good shape, just in need of a repaint. Underneath, it is very unclean. It is in dire need of a polish. The base incorporates the front grille and the front and rear bumpers, while yellow translucent headlights and red plastic tail lights are separate pieces. The front axle has an issue that means it's very loose. I shall investigate this when I dismantle the casting. When new, these castings were painted a fresh white, though this has discoloured over time. Here's how a beautiful mint V271 looks. And here's an Opel Rekord Coupé in the real world. So let's open her up and see what lies within. A 5mm drill bit should do the trick. The back end is held together with an angled tongue and slot. So with the base off, you can see the plastic rear lights that attach to the two lugs. The headlights are pushed in plastic as well. These will just need forcing out with a needle or similar. Here's how the wheels sit inside the casting. So the axles are supported by the suspension piece. I have a closer look, and one side has a missing piece that would normally keep the axle straight and true. So I'll have to fix that. Meanwhile, here comes the interior. I'm having to open the doors to remove it, as they are partially secured by the plastic interior piece. It's really grubby and dirty, and you can see the missing backrests. Unlike Matchbox models of the era, these doors are very solid and really quite secure, reassuringly so. I've dropped out the window piece, which was in a pretty disgusting state like the interior. Another piece in much need of a cleansing. And here are the tiny jewel-like headlights. The Rekord was an executive car produced by German manufacturer Opel for 8 generations between 1953 and 1986. The first generation Rekord replaced the Opel Olympia and was called the Opel Olympia Rekord. Available until 1957, the car had annual facelifts, which was unusual for a European manufacturer. This was likely due to Opel's American owner's influence, General Motors. The Opel Olympia Rekord P, later known as the Opel Rekord P1, launched in 1957 and remained in production until 1960. It sold very well in West Germany, beaten to top spot only by the smaller and cheaper Volkswagen Beetle. Its styling was similar to its relative, the Vauxhall Victor, that launched in England a few months earlier. The P1 had taken a lot of styling cues from its American counterparts, including two-tone paint and a large wraparound windscreen. The 1960 P2 Rekord did away with the wraparound, receiving a totally new body and grew in size. Until now, models had been available as a 2- or 4-door saloon, a 3-door estate or caravan, with a delivery van and specialist convertible options available. For the P2 generation, it was available as a pickup for the first time, as well as a works 2-door coupé. Until 1961, the coupé version had only been available as a conversion by a specialist coach builder. In 1963, the Rekord Series A replaced the P2. It was marginally shorter but wider than its predecessor. It lasted only 2 years before its successor, the Rekord B, came along. There were small changes to the front and rear, with square headlights replacing the round ones on the A, and 4 round tail lights replacing the square cluster on the sedan and coupe. In 1967, we reached the Rekord C, the generation on which my coupe is based. The C shipped 1.2 million units from its launch until its replacement in 1971. Its Coke bottle styling proved to be a big hit with buyers. A range-topping Rekord C received a new name, the Opel Commodore A, not to be confused with the Australian Holden Commodore, though the nameplate follows the same lineage. Another car based on the Rekord C platform was the Ranger. This was effectively the same car designed to compete with the Rekord, though it had a 4-headlamp fascia similar to the Vauxhall Victor FD. It was produced in both Europe and South Africa, where it was referred to as South Africa's own car, though the brand didn't last long. It was discontinued after 10 years in 1978. Rekords were also built in Brazil and sold as the Chevrolet Opala and Commodoro. For the 1972 Rekord Series D, a diesel engine was introduced for the first time as Opel seeked to loosen Mercedes-Benz's stranglehold on the lucrative German taxi market. It continued to be sold under the Ranger name badge, while Rekord Ds were also assembled in Iran from 1974 until 1977. These were sold by General Motors Iran as either the Chevrolet Royale or the Chevrolet Iran. Catchy name, that last one. Here I'm using the windscreen offcut from my Chevy Caprice Classic convertible custom build from a while back. This is to replace that missing piece for the suspension. Once it's glued on, it should be ready to reattach to the interior. The final Opel Rekord was the Series E, spanning 1977 to 1986. It shared its wheelbase and most engines with its predecessor, but had an entirely new body. It did receive a facelift in 1982, which also marked the end of the Vauxhall brand being sold anywhere outside the UK. The Rekord E had been badged as the Vauxhall Carlton in the UK, though with Vauxhall's droop snoop front end replacing the traditional grille pre-facelift. The Rekord E continued to be assembled in South Africa into the 1990s, long after the Rekord had been replaced by the new Opel Omega. In Australia, the first generation Holden Commodore VB was based on the Rekord E, using an Opel Senator grille. There, the Commodore badge remained in use long after the Opel's replacement. It was finally dropped in 2020. Elsewhere, the Rekord E was assembled in South Korea and marketed as the Seihan Royale. Like the Holden, this also used the front end of the Opel Senator. Right, so we've reached the point of the grand reveal already. Here I had this murky looking Opel Rekord Coupé that in true barn-find fashion had doors coloured differently to the body, albeit missing all of the paint. The suspension piece that held the axle in place had broken and detached from the interior that should secure it. Meanwhile, the base was dirty and in serious need of a polish, much like the plastic windscreen. So let's now make this Rekord look less of a broken Rekord. And here it is, freshly repainted and icy cool white. Look how the yellow of the headlights are brought out against the cleaner body, and the polished grille and base of course. The interior has been cleaned up so it's looking much fresher, though sadly still missing the backrests for the seats. I put some chrome on the axle ends, although I'm not sure if this is correct or not. It looks like rusted metal from the axle ends to me, but in most photos of the mint models it looks like it had plastic coverings. Either way, it's a definite improvement. I really like the lines of this casting. It is kind of a basic run-of-the-mill European car from the 60s or 70s, but these really appeal to me the most. Anyway, that's all from me for today. If you'd like to see more Siku saves, let me know in the comments and click that like button. I've immensely enjoyed bringing this one back from the scrap heap, and there's plenty more where that came from, so make sure you're subscribed. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye for now.